All right, well, the last thing that I want to talk about is improving memory, which I think every student really would like to do throughout their career, and figure out how to capitalize on some of the stuff that they're learning when we're talking about memory itself, so that they can get better grades and they can do better and learn more information, etc. So one concept to keep in mind is mass versus distributed practice. And most of the research tells us that learning or practice that occurs over a period of time repeatedly usually is far better. So distributed practice means is studying repeatedly the same material so that it becomes embedded in your memory, and it becomes part of those pathways that I talked about. Mass studying usually refers to like an overnighter, pulling an overnighter to study. You deprive yourself of sleep and your memory is going to get trashed by morning. So mass studying or condensed studying is usually extremely inefficient, because as time goes on, you begin to show the effects of you begin to show the effects of diminishing returns, would be a good way to look at that. The second concept is meaningfulness. And whatever you do, you need to make connections between what you know and what you're studying. And that's the whole idea behind meaningfulness. Make connections. What is important here is the building up of networks of information. And that's what we're talking about here. William James made this comment, and it's in your book. He said, knit each new thing onto some acquisition already there. And that really is what you're developing when you're studying, is you're creating these spider or these webs of information that you want to begin to connect together so that you can get at it from a variety of points of view. And that's what is so vitally important to begin to understand information, is this network or web. We're probably more familiar with the whole idea of webs. And in some respects, from a web perspective, each of these nodes of information is a little bit like a hyperlink. Think about for a minute when you go on to Wikipedia and how much information is contained just in one page, just simply because of the hyperlinks that are contained there. You click on a link and it takes you to another key piece of information. Another one is creating or recreating retrieval cues, or activating retrieval cues. And what you're trying to do here is really try to create different points of interest or different points of information that you can pull out of the same information from different points of view. One of the things that I did when I was taking essays, and I did a lot of essays when I was in undergrad, is that the minute I saw what the question was, I wrote down everything that I could remember about it, at one place. And that really was part of this activating of these retrieval cues. Another one is mnemonics, and using those acrostics, hierarchies, all of those are keywords, peg words, chunking information. Probably the one I used the most was acrostics or acronyms, because I could contain a lot of information just in a single acronym, and then pull it out at the right time. Another one, take notice and watch out for interference. If you have information or a topic of study that is very similar to one another, do not put them close together in time. Again, it goes back to mass versus distributed practice. Another one, which is going to fall on deaf ears, but I will just put it in nice, big, bold letters, is sleep. Sleep is a consolidator of information. It puts it into long-term memory far more effectively than anything else does. And so sleep is part of the key. And then the last thing is really rehearsal. And again, the mass versus distributed is also important here. Rehearsal is something that you can do time and again. The study guides I provide you for each module really is a opportunity to rehearse the information so that you can test yourself and see what you actually know and don't know, and then you can go back and work at it again. If you start too late in this process, you will end up back in massed practice. And when you do that, your learning is going to be far less efficient. Well, good luck with your memory and your improving of your memory. That concludes Module 26 and this whole component or unit on memory itself. We'll be turning our attention next to thinking, language, and intelligence. But until then, take to heart some of these suggestions so that you can do great on your midterm or your final at the very end.